Hello YouTube, welcome back to another edition of Spraggy's Cash Game Hangouts, the $100 Zoom cash games with me, Spraggy. I hope you've been well. For those of you who are watching sequentially or on date of upload, I apologize for a couple of days off the daily uploads. I know I said I would do daily uploads, but we've been playing a lot of tournaments. We've been streaming a lot during Turbo Series. Had a very big Sunday. We bricked pretty much everything, lost about $3,000, which was not ideal. We'd rather have the $3,000 that we lost, or rather have more than the $3,000 that we invested, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Monday was, did I play Monday? I played like 10 hours Monday and ended down like 300, and then yesterday we the Tuesday we finished down about just over $1,000 or something. But again, like we're firing on Sunday, we fired the 1k buy-in, we fired the 530 buy-in, we fired a bunch of 215s, rebuying 109s. There's a lot of great action at the moment in tournaments, so I mean, we're playing a lot of buy-ins. We've got to expect some swings. Anyway, today, back to the cash game streets. This is our journey at 50 cent a dollar so far. This is our journey at 100 an L so far. If you've been watching, or just to catch up with where we are if you haven't, or if you're going back, this is where I am with playing 50 cent a dollar cash games. We're up, what's that, $69? $69.24. Irrelevant sample of 900 hands. Hopefully we get a bit of further progression on from this graph this week. Again, if you're watching in time, I want these videos to be evergreen, so you just watch them whenever. So we'll just jump straight into two tables, 50 cent a dollar Zoom cash games, and see where it takes us. Here we go. Just do this, get rid of this, and away we go. So we've got table 1 and table 2. This is table 1 with the a7. I think we'll just fold to this. And table 2 with the queen of 6. I think we'll just fold to this. Thank you everybody for the likes, comments, subscriptions. Channel's growing. Got a lot of new subscribers. Got a lot of people watching. That's cool. Gonna keep on keeping on. I'm really enjoying these cash game sessions as well, so that's cool as well. One comment that I did read was someone called, their channel is called Help Me, and I checked out their channel and they're playing $250, $500 Zoom, and they said that I'm definitely beating 100 Zoom, which is nice to hear. They seem to know what they're talking about because they're playing 500 Zoom, so presumably they've watched some of my gameplay and think that we're doing all right. I feel like we're doing all right. I feel like this game is pretty soft, pretty beatable. Like, we should be all right. Obviously our samples are relevant. I'm going to want a much bigger one to determine whether or not we are, you know, a significant or otherwise winner in the game. Here I think is a really very strong value range. I swing not really strong value range, but I think like very value oriented range in terms of targeting a weaker opponent. So I'm just going to fold the ace queen offsuit. We do have to sometimes obviously consider that the open is going to be a real hand as well. So I'm okay just folding ace queen off this undergun and undergun 3-bet. Here we get 3-bet, we got jack 9. Probably close. Cutoff seems like it would always be a call. Hijack round here might be a little bit wide to peel. Flop a jack going to continue. Obviously flopping a jack's pretty good. Top pair, isn't it? Top pair. I don't know how I feel about the turn play or turn sizing or anything of that nature, really. Feels like I want a value bet. Feel like my hand's quite good often. There are some dangerous rivers. Not convinced we would want to really check back. You know, it's one of those where actually I would consider probably checking back more with like queen jack or king jack. Maybe even ace jack, I don't know. But with jack 9, all of the cards that are gonna connect with my opponent's range that we're ahead of, like ace queen and ace king and king queen. If I have king jack or queen jack, obviously sometimes we're gonna make the pair that gives them a pair. Whereas with jack 9, that's not gonna be the case, right? So jack 9 probably just benefits more from protection, betting the turn rather than checking, and can still drive some value. I'd imagine that most of the overpairs on that texture would be inclined to continue bang. Maybe they look for a check jam occasionally. But it does feel like a turn that slightly favors me as the imposition caller, making more sort of 2 pairs and straights than my opponent in the small blind. I fold here. Sorry, other table. And I think we don't really want to do too much flatting in the small blind in a raked game, so we will opt to the 3-bet queen jack of diamonds. Bump it up to $12. Pick it up. Just for reference as well, it's 7 a.m. UK time in the morning, so it's like 8:15 a.m. Central European time. So we've got the early morning grinders on. I don't know what the early morning grinders are like. Whether morning people get up early, take the dog for a walk, read the paper, have a coffee. These are the people who've got their life together. Or they're people like me who are the opposite and are still up at 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning playing cards. Could go either way, couldn't it? It's either the wakey, 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 rise and shine, or it's the I've been up all night and I'm pissing into bottles next to my computer. I am the latter. Not pissing into bottles, but people do it. People do it. I've known poker players have a catheter fitted so that they don't need to leave good poker games. Just piss straight into a bag. Bit much, isn't it? Got a full house here, which is quite good. I do think that the big blind 3-betting range, people do often struggle to find the correct amount of 3-bets from the big blind. At 100 big blind stack depth, I think, as best as my knowledge is, I think that you're supposed to be 3-betting some like 6-7 suited and hands like that. So what does that mean for our range here? I think I would 3-bet, I would 4-bet queens plus for the most part. Maybe I'm calling jacks and 10s, but this is one of the strongest hands I'm going to have. Obviously I'm going to have quads on occasion, but is my opponent ever going to 3-bet 8s and 9s out of the big blind? Probably not. They're probably going to have some like 6-7 suited, 5-6 suited, in which case that's a really good river, and I don't think it hurts us to pot control. Obviously there's like some element of protection against kings and aces, like ace king and ace whatever, I guess just ace king. Calling. And of course we're calling once we check back and they do have the jacks. I'm a little bit shocked to see jacks. Because I think that's a hand that primarily should just be looking to triple barrel off, right? What can I do? Fold 10s? Probably not, given how my range is constructed. I think we get away pretty cheaply there, given the nature of the board and the nature of the range, you know, just the nature of the hand. I expected to win a lot calling the river. Not gonna lie. Not going to lie. But then, you know, what else? What pot size bluffs do they find? I mean, I'd imagine they've got to find some, probably. Probably. Interesting one here against Gunnar Ross. We decide to 3-bet with the Queen Jack of Diamonds. Flop is Queen 10-10. Opponent bets into 2 other opponents, which I do think strengthens their range a little bit. That said, it's going to be one of the stronger hands I check. And my intention is not to check fold. Turn is obviously very, very strong for us. And we just absolutely love to see our opponent betting. I don't really see any merit to jamming where lock against draws unless it's a straight flush. If they want to make a royal or something, then it's great YouTube content, and I'm happy to lose $100 for something that will get a lot of people's eyes on it. So we're gonna win if it's a straight flush. You can't even see the table. I 3-bet. We went 3 ways to a flop. I check called, and I'm check calling again. Hoping my opponent's just gonna fire off King Jack. They check, we win. Hope they didn't have a 10. That's gonna suck. They had King 9 of diamonds, and indeed, our decision was a pretty reasonable one. Gonna go for the check raise with the open ender versus button c-bet, button raise, c-bet. Gonna be a very wide range of hands. I'm just come with me. Apologies for the somewhat lengthy stinger. transition here. It's Turbo Series at the moment. Absolutely sick graphics. And look, we're in reverse on my turbo-based overlay. Fantastic commitment to graphical design from the team. So we decided to 3-bet. We went call. I think it's nice to keep a hand like this in my check call range. Obviously, 3-ways, we're a little bit worried about betting a narrowing range and just like isolating ourselves against all the 10x, of which both players have a fair amount of 10x. I don't think that should be a shock. In position calls, you know, it's just a lot of like 9-10, Jack 10, Queen 10, King 10, Ace 10 suited. So we decide to check. Turn is gin. We check. They bet. We call. Like I said, I don't see too much merit to jamming the turn or anything. If they have a draw, they're not going to commit their equity. Some situations like this, let's say the turn is like a 4 and we end up with a 10. It's sometimes nice to jam a 10 because our hand is a little bit more vulnerable. And if our opponent has something like King 9 of spades, they might call off and commit with their equity. Whereas if they have King 9 of spades in this spot, they're not going to call off because their flush outs and their straight outs are all dead. And their pair's always dead. So I decided to check call and just hope they blast. Unfortunately, they decide to slow down. And they have King 9. We do win a $140 pot though, which is all good. Not too bad. Let me get the graph for today up. We are currently winning $46.50 for the session. And we're about to win a lot more because we're going to hit a set of 8s. Disgusting run bad. I'm okay calling a 3-bet with this hand. I think folding would be too tight, and I'm certainly going to continue on the flop. I expect my opponent to be bluffing around some suited hands. Some King Queen and King Jack and hands like this. Underpairs do suck a little bit in 3-bet pot situations because against a very reasonable portion of my opponent's range, I'm just dead, right? Like, I'm just dead against an ace. I do think it's a little bit tight to fold with 1 diamond on the flop. Maybe 8s no diamond becomes closer. Probably still okay to peel 1 versus a small bet. And we do manage to find a showdown against El Pablo USA, who we're also playing over here. We're going to 3-bet him with King because King is a very strong hand. They 3-bet me with King 10 of spades in that spot, where we showed down the 8s. Interesting turn card. I think they're going to have obviously some 9x in their range. We do block some floats. Something like King Queen of spades, King Queen of hearts. Like spades and hearts are bad in terms of our opponent having like a really wide king high flown range. Maybe they don't have that many king highs anyway. Actually, they're probably irrelevant, right? They probably only have like ace high peels, and it's not going to be ace king because they'd 4-bet pre most of the time. So that said, I don't mind a check. We can get them firing some floats, some ace highs maybe, value betting some smaller pairs, 10s jacks. We're expecting to see what? Ace 9 suited, 9-10 suited, maybe Queen 9. King 9 we block heart combo. Good run out. Good run out. Hope they jam jacks. They check. Interesting river. Really weird river to play. They end up with Jack 10 of spades, which I think gives sort of vindication, I'll say, to the turn check, in that when the 9 repeats, it's not really or necessarily one where we can triple off, because there's a repeat 9 and, you know, it might be a little bit thin. Our opponent's going to have some 9s. Might be nice to keep a hand like kings in a checking range where it doesn't require as much protection as like 10s or jacks, because, you know, not too many overs. I'm just responding there, typing to my wonderful fiance Marley, who is was playing some 5-5 in Vegas and winning. She's crushing. She's absolutely crushing tonight. But she would, wouldn't she? Because she's He's a very, very, very talented player. We expect nothing less of the great Miles. Alright, chucking out some folds. But we're moving in the right direction. We're winning some nice pots. Seems like a good session so far. We're up $102. Nothing too spurious. And no, I don't have any relationship advice for you this week. But I hope you listened to what I said a couple videos back, for those of you who did, about arguments and cornflakes. And then the video after that, we had a bunch of people coming in saying, I'm only here for the relationship advice. I don't fucking know what's wrong with your marriage. Maybe if you paid a little bit more attention, you would. No one likes multi-way pots. It's 3-bet. How are you going to win a multi-way pot? Hit a 9? You're just going to hit a 9 here. Well, you luckiest player alive? Just think you're just going to roll 9s all the time? Now look, ace high board, we still win. Of course you want a 3-bet. 3-betting strong, isn't it? Gives you more options when you 3-bet. Don't know about this, but it seems like a hand that we could 3-bet sometimes. I don't really know how... Listen, I don't know how 100 big blind poker works, really. I mean, I'm finding my way around it. I think I play okay. 200 big blinds, who knows? This hand could make the nuts. Could make quads. 2 ways. Could make... can't make a straight. Could make a flush, though. And now we get a 4th bet. I've just also realized that I'm very stupid, because in tournaments, if you click your stack, it will convert it to big blinds. And I do that to see how deep I am in a tournament normally. Just tried to convert it there. In a 50-cent $1 game where I have $240, an opponent has 185. I wonder how deep we are. Now listen, when I call 4-bets with hands that can make the nuts, this is where I'm looking to be. A little $12 bet, lovely, great price, in position, could roll an ace against kings, could roll a heart, could still be good. Our opponent could have 4-bet bluffed king queen or king jack, so we're gonna call. What we don't want to happen really is for us to raise the flop and then our opponent puts in a 3-bet and then all of a sudden we're investing 200 big blinds with ace high, which seems a lot less good than calling in position with a nut draw for $12. Now we have an ace against kings. Let's imagine it's kings. Kings are a reasonable hand for him to have. An ace is 3 outs. A flush is an additional 9. That's 12. A 5 for a straight is 16. Minus the 5 of hearts is 15. Which means rule of 4 and 2, we're going to get there about 30% of the time. So if our opponent bet pot, we're getting odds to call. Our opponent has bet a 3rd pot, which means we are printing by calling here. Now all we have to do is roll our card. And we roll our card because I run like a golden god. There are a couple of things that are going to work really well for us here. If our opponent has a hand like king queen with a king of hearts, they might jam. If our opponent has a hand like kings, they're probably not too keen on the river. Oh my god, yes. Oh, it's ace queen offsuit. No heart in sight. Not a heart in sight. Not a heart in sight. Which is why we call a 4-bet and try and make the nuts 200 and something big blinds deep, because when you do, sometimes you win 200 big blinds. That's a big pot. $414 pot at 50 cent a dollar. And what are we, like 15 minutes into the session and we want a 400 something big blind pot? All you have to do really is make the nuts. Now, is my opponent's bluff good? I don't think so. I think that they are going to want to have, when you bluff that spot, you're going to want to have the ace queen offsuit combination with the ace of hearts. If you're going to bluff and you have the ace queen with the ace of hearts, I can't do what I do. I can't just snap when I don't have the nuts ever, right? It's such a huge card to have, because all of my flushes in that spot typically, you know, it's going to be a lot of nut flushes. It's going to be a lot of nut flushes. If you have it, you take out however many combos, like 9 combos or whatever of the nut flush, right? Whereas without it, some percentage of the time I'm sat there with the nuts and I click call. So I think limit yourself to having the blocker, either the ace, feeling particularly excitable, maybe even just have the queen. But I think ace queen no heart is an overextension and is just a little bit A little bit too much. Little bit too much. I will say this, though. I love the heart. I love the spirit. I love the commitment. And I am folding a lot of hands. If I don't have the nut flush, I'm folding. And I would get there with a lot of hands like 7-8 suited, right? Pocket jacks that I would flat a 4-bet with. Am I calling jacks at the river when they jam with no heart? Absolutely not. So there's... Listen, I'm going to fold hands, but you'll probably want to have a heart blocker in there just so that I can't have the nuts, right? I'm going to fold. Man, this flat is just so dead. Bottom's going to be a wide open, and this flat is just so dead. Like, this is never ever a good hand. Now they lead. And funnily enough, I flop a hand that's like... I have a gut shot and a king and a backdoor flush draw. Occasionally, they're going to fold. I don't think they have any really strong hands. I meant pre-flop, obviously. They called 7-4 offsuit pre-flop, which is it's amazing. All right, so Gunnar Ross is calling pre-flop in the small blind with 7-4 off, and then calling a 3-bet, and then leading the 2-pair, which we're happy that Gunnar Ross is playing today. Would like to have seen them just have 1 pair, and we'd be a little bit more live, but fine. And for 40 blinds, I think I'm just rolling that on the flop. I think it's okay. What can you do? We are now up $260 for the session. We were up $330 at peak. Obviously, that's a small setback there against Gunnar Ross. My temptation at this point is to fold every hand until Gunnar Ross is at the table. And then just, when you see a player play like that, you just want to put in some 3-bets, isolate them, make sure that you get into as many pots against them as possible. What's this been? Bet, check, bet. Bet, check, bets. Weird one. Never a bluff. Yeah. Good hand. I think we expect to see something like that a lot. It's just for my range, I'm probably struggling for better hands than that. I know that seems weird, but I'm going to be value betting a lot of my kings at the river myself. I don't really have too many jacks that will call flop and not bet river, so yeah, okay, I look it up with a 3. Sometimes they got a bluff. All good. I'm suspicious. Sometimes I get a little suspicious. We gave him an extra $5. But I think we're going to win often enough. I would hope we win often enough, because I'm not in the business of giving away money. Not what we do. Not what we do. Unless your name's Gunnar Ross, then I give you $40 apparently. No, that's not a giveaway. That was fine. You got to put that in. You got to put that in. I really feel, I'm not just saying this as well, I really feel like sometimes they just have faults, right? Like they make some weird like lead. We know that they don't have a particularly strong hand pre-flop when they just call and call. So I think they're just gonna make some like weird like steals of the pot. So we'll just jam when we have a gut shot. And an over and a backdoor flush draw. And you know, this time they had it. And by it, I mean 2-pair. It wasn't it at any other point. It was 7-4 off, which you don't want to play that. We 3-bet, we c-bet. We're going to barrel. Much like in the hand that I got here in a 3-bet pot, I think people are going to continue with an overpair for 1. We can't call now, of course. I don't expect to see too many check jams on the turn, right? My range is pretty ace-x dense and strong ace-x hands. I can have the suited ace-x with the nut flush draw as well. So I'm okay just bet folding the 8-9 of spades, I think. I think so. Sad though, isn't it? I'd rather they just folded like a king high backdoor float or something. Or I would rather they called and the river was a spade. But that might be a bit greedy. Mightn't it? We don't want to be greedy. We want a nice big pot already. We want a nice big pot already. Versus a check back, I think we can just attack real hard. And double flush draw board, a lot of our value sizings would want to be really big here. If we had a queen, we just bomb. Have king jack high, just going to double pot. Expect to win a bunch. I don't know, like, what I'm supposed to do pre-flop here. 3-betting. I do a lot of 3-betting, don't I? I wonder if I'm allowed to call. Yep, I am. No, I don't know. Pre-flop seems like a big maybe. Obviously, we flop fantastically well. And there will be some pot-controlled ace-x on the flop that we're going to try and drive value from now. Always nice to get raised when you have the nuts. Let's think about the stack size here. If we call, it'll be 32, it'll be 42 going to the river. We are out of position. But I do think that a 3-bet on the turn is really nutted from us. So I'm going to call and check. And hope that if my opponent is confident enough to raise something for value on the turn, that they will follow through with a value bet on the river. They have ace-10 offsuit. Which is fine. I mean, I don't think that if we 3-bet the turn, they're never going to call. A raise. So. We are going to just call. Keep the range as wide as we can. This is an interesting spot. I think it's just... I mean, it could even be sort of erring into the thin territory. Given the calling range in the small blind, what are we trying to target now? King 10, King 9. But we also have to consider 9, 10, and ace 10. Some of the times, I think sometimes they're going to raise turn. Probably more often than not. We don't have the queen of clubs, so they're going to have some queen x flush draws, be it queen 9, queen 10, king queen. They're going to have the nut flush draw that makes the nuts. I wonder if we just check. What are we trying to get called by? King 10, king 9, queen 10. It might be a bit nay. This isn't a hand that's going to call. I don't know. I felt like in the end that I'd taken too long, and that if I bet, we might open ourselves up to get check raise real wide, because I'm just like super time banking. Might be a bit nitty. On a non-club river, I'm 100% going to bet. Alright, it's been an action-packed session. We haven't really had much chance to chat and hang out and talk our usual nonsense. But we are coming at around the 30-minute mark. We played some very interesting pots, haven't we? We have played some very interesting pots, and obviously a very big pot. Fun one with the nut flush. And just for you, yes, we will end with a cold 4-bet. It's a good candidate to cold 4-bet, at least some of the time. And I think an okay lineup with a raised 3-bet. Don't jam Colin. Wait, not even called Colin. Polinyov. It's a cold 4-bet. It's a strong hand. You think I'm just sat here cold 4-betting? Thank you. Let's be sensible. Fold. Take my free hands. Always going to be professional to the very end. Except for not really. Folks, if you want to keep up to date with everything that I'm doing, you can follow me on Twitter. Some of you here and watching on YouTube may not be following me along on twitter.com. If you know nothing about things but want to pretend to be an expert in them, boy, do I have the website for you. If you like arguing politics with total strangers who are as ill-informed on the topic as the people and the third, fourth, fifth parties who are going to chime in on your discussion, boy, do I have the website for you. If you like shouting people down and holding people to account every time they make a very, very, very small mistake, as humans do, then boy, do I have the website for you. Twitter.com, everybody. Be sure to keep an eye out for spelling errors, typos, and grammatical mistakes. Get in the replies if you see any of those as well. That's the sort of reply that we love to see on twitter.com, contributing to all discussions. I am, we'll bring it back in. I'm at Spraggy on there. So you can follow along on twitter.com. What a website. What a website. If you haven't already hit the subscription button here on YouTube, feel free to do that. And if for some reason you're watching on YouTube, but you don't watch my 10 hours of live stream content a day, you're more than welcome to join us over on Twitch. That is twitch.tv/Spraggy, Spraggy.tv. Search Spraggy Twitch, you'll find it. And I'd love to see you. I am sat out next big blind, but I keep getting dealt hands. If this chicken wants to 3-bet, we'll call him. Not going to fold in position to the 3-bet. I don't really want to bet fold away my equity here, so we're going to hit him with a check back. In the sense that I don't really want to get check raised. I also feel like I can't really do too much betting in that they're going to have more overpairs than I am, you know, looking for a check raise rather than me flatting a 3-bet position with an overpair. I'm probably going to be doing a lot of 4-betting with Jackson up. As played, we are going to fold. Obviously, if the turn is a Jack and I'm checking back King Queen, I'm going to have Queen Jack, Jack 10, Ace Jack, King Jack, flush draws. Hands like this that would continue. Cool, cool. All right, well, that was a fun session. I'm going to bring in our graph to close us out so that we can show the progress today. Come on, Turbo Series, we know. Get gone. G'day. All right, that's today, folks. Nice little trend here. Nice little trend in this direction. And of course, the big pot giving us a real push in the right direction. We ended up plus $229 for this video. If we'd have run at EV, we'd have won $251, which just goes to show what absolute bullshit all-in EV is, because obviously this only accounts for your luck in all-in situations. Obviously, our luck in non-all-in situations was really good. We made the nut flush in a 4-bet pot, and our opponent jammed into us, which is an element of good fortune there, even though I think my opponent's strategy was incorrect. The loss in EV will actually come from the all-in where we were all in with King 6 against 7-4, right? Because we had a share of that pot, and the 7-4 helped, so we didn't get our share, so we ran bad. Overall, since we started playing 100 now, there we go, we're back up. Since we started these videos, we've made $298.24, and we're running about at EV. You can also see some showdown, non-showdown for you guys, breaking close to even for non-showdown, winning when the hand goes to showdown. Again, irrelevant sample, 1,000 hands. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.